I did sell 11 houses in one weekend once, so
that is pretty epic.
I had lifelong dreams of becoming an author. Full transparency, I thought I would write a smut romance novel, but instead I wrote a book on real estate.
I didn't know that until just now.
I didn't know that either.
I'm a little offended and super intrigued. I don't want people to hear that and go like, oh, AI is coming for my job, because it's not. Everybody thought CGI in the movie world was going to replace filmmakers, and it did not replace filmmakers, actually. It just made filmmakers possible of doing things that were never possible before.
Have an eye for innovation, and you're also like a super connector. You have a wild Rolodex, which is part of the reason why I wanted to co-host this podcast with you.
Welcome to The Inspection Period, the brand new podcast series from Estate Media. I'm your co-host, George.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Justin.
And each and every week, we're bringing you our takes on the latest news, talking to guests in leadership across all kinds of industries, and discussing what we've learned along the way about ourselves, our world, and each other. Dude, guys, I am freaking stoked.
Super excited. I can't believe we're officially podcasters now, guys.
Yeah, that's a thing. Why did this happen? How did this start in the first place?
Well, I think the way it started, just like most great things in history, is you had a good name for a podcast, and so we had to do something with it. Right? I don't know who came up with it. Was it Lindsay or Justin? It's like Inspection Period. I'm like, yeah, we definitely have to move forward with that.
Justin and I were we were in LA. I think we were in LA. Were we in LA, Justin?
Yeah, LA.
We were. And I think we were, in a room full of a bunch of people, successful podcasters. And I was like, man, I want a podcast. And Justin was more like, I don't want a podcast.
Yeah.
But
I was the dude in the room saying, please no, please don't make me. Please.
And having semi-adjacent real estate experience, I thought, why don't we do this together? And then Justin still reluctantly was not super into the idea, but we were on the plane on the way back on JSX, and we were sitting next to each other. And I think it was Justin that had this brilliant name. We were thinking through, what are real estate related things, right? And what did we want to do? We really wanted to get under the hood and tell real stories, because I'm just a regular agent. I'm just a real estate agent out here slinging houses. And we wanted to tell some real stories from a variety of different people. And so the inspection period was thrown out, and we were like, whoa, I think that is exactly the name. And we didn't really noodle on a lot of names. We just went for it.
No, we found out that it wasn't taken on the
on the plane on JSX.
Yeah, it wasn't taken. Yeah, nobody on that plane had started. We pulled the 16 people that were on it. I think honestly though, I was just intimidated of doing it by myself. I've never viewed myself as a performer or a personality or anything. I'm just nerd Justin. I get it, George, the face.
I was like, wait.
Yes, but even the reason why George made that face is because in a different life, I was signed to a record label for a little bit and played these big shows and wrote music and got millions of streams on Spotify. There's a thing for my ego or whatever. But that. I did not love the performing side of it, honestly. I liked creating the music and noodling around in the studio. That performance stuff was just something I had to do. So when Lindsay was like, I'd do this with you, I went, okay, cool. Sounds great. I'm a little less scared. And then entered George a month after that. How did that start, George? It's your turn to talk.
Yeah, we had talked about our reluctance for a podcast just because it is this, performing aspect, I think, to an extent. But there's I think there's desire to want to learn more from the people that are succeeding too. So I'm always trying to dig in and learn as much as we possibly can from people that are doing it. And there's podcasts out there that do that. But I felt like it could be done better. I felt like that there was more to give, more to learn, and more to take away. Those little moments in people's lives where they make a simple decision that actually changes the complete trajectory of their life. Those hockey stick moments in their businesses. Oh, that was a simple meeting, and then all of a sudden it just unfolds into something pretty massive. Yeah, I love uncovering those aspects of it, or what early in their life kind of directed their values and directed the way that they think. And, sometimes right now some of us are trying to unshuffle all of that crap, but also it's served us so well, right? Like being a control freak for one, right? Like it's not going to get you the best marriage possibly, but you can run a pretty damn good business.
Tell us more about
right?
that, George.
So I'm
Yeah,
always interested in that. It's like, well, tell me more, right? But you hear about the super successful people, and some of them rule with iron fists, or some rule out of abundance and are more servant leaders. And so I'm always just super interested in that. And that's what I wanted to dig deeper. There were a lot of people that I wanted to ask questions to. And so this gives me a platform to ask them a bunch of questions I couldn't do otherwise.
I was going to say, I love George's altruistic reason for being on the podcast. I'm like, I just want to be the talent, guys. I just want to show up and perform.
And I guess I'm just here to say inappropriate things, so that's what I'm here for.
We all got our role.
Yeah, we all have our role. I think the thing that made it feel less intimidating, though, is that when we could all get together, us three, like we met for lunch that one day, and it was like, okay, this works instantly, and I don't feel like I'm performing or being somebody I'm not anymore. We can actually just be who we are, and it's, I guess, semi-entertaining. I guess, I mean, Estate Media thought so, I guess, which is why we're here. So got a lot to live up to there. Yeah. Signed a record deal.
Well, I think that the other piece about it is that we all do share a ton of the same common values, but we're also super diverse. Like, none of us really are in the same lane right now. Like, I'm just your regular real estate agent. And I do think that it's like one of those things where normally you're only seeing a podcast from one perspective. What I like is having three different perspectives. We've got George, mega team leader. We've got Justin in the tech space, who's a former real estate agent. And, then I'm over here just selling houses and coaching and doing whatever I'm doing. And like that diversity brings up a different level of questions and detail and thought with our guests that we've had. We had some awesome guests. And what I just love about it is like, I'm learning things because they're not questions I would have asked. And so I like having the three of us on here coming from very, very different perspectives. I just think, with the guests we've had so far, we've uncovered more gems. I mean, I have notebooks full of all of our interviews I couldn't take notes fast enough from some of the advice and thoughts and tips we've gotten from other people. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but that's been awesome.
Oh, and it ranges from personal advice on like how to be great. I think that the reason why I love this is because one of the reasons, I think I remember saying this in the very beginning, like I really dislike when people like Gary Ashton, we had Gary Ashton on the show. And before Gary came on, I told him, hey, look, I'm sick of people bringing you on stage as like the number one RE/MAX brokerage or whatever in the world. And they ask you like, hey, Gary, so what's working for you right now? And he goes, well, I just bought every zip code in all of Nashville from realtor.com. So yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of money every month, but it seems to be working for us. And everybody else in the crowd's like, way to go.
Relatable.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Like that can't help me. But if we like roll him back, 10, 15, if I say too many years, he's going to kill me after he listens to this. I don't know how many years it was ago. Anyways, we can uncover like the scrappy stuff that got him off the ground in the very beginning and understand like where his life came from. And usually that stuff is universal wisdom that we can apply across the board, no matter if you're solo agent, no matter you're mega team leader or broker owner, or even in a different industry, you can kind of take that and apply it in a bunch of different ways. So I'm really excited about that side.
Well, yeah, when you get back to the early years of a guy like Gary Ashton or Glutch or Shannon Gillette, like I think it's something for the young entrepreneurial investor or real estate agent where they can go, oh, shoot, they're not that different from me, right? They're just their moment in time was a few years ago, a decade ago, whatever it was. And they can still, they have the chance to develop that type of business. And that's what I love about hearing the early stories, because it is scrappy, gritty stuff, man. Ashton, I love your reference to Ashton because we use him internally a lot of like his model. Well, we can just Ashton it, which means just buy a bunch of market share, and just dominate
every
completely.
Billboard, every bus stop.
Yeah, I'll take every billboard,
all of them,
every lead. Yes. No, I want them all. Oh no, yes, just give me all of them, please. I love that model.
Yeah, but then there's, we even get
so
from that like those like big high level things to like what I've enjoyed most is the humanizing side of things. These stories of overcoming adversity and, really traumatic life events that people had to overcome in order to succeed. Like, it's been incredibly inspiring, but then, also a lot of tactics. I think more tactics and strategy than I had thought we were going to get out of a lot of these guests, of like how they built their business and what exactly they're doing that's, creating differentiation that we can actually go take and implement. Like, I'm changing things within my business model every week as we're interviewing some of these guests, just like, how I do listing videos, and listening to Shannon about, like, it's not about the house. It's about creating evergreen content that you're showcasing a neighborhood. The house is just kind of like, a byproduct of it, but you're really showcasing neighborhoods. So I think there's a lot of different ways that it can go. But I've been super stoked about all of it so far.
That's what I noticed about the guests. Like, everyone has this like different superpower. When I think of Shannon, she was like this, like the way she could take a house and make it this like marketing model for. I'm like, you just have this marketing mind that I don't have, and I'm trying to get better and better at it. But she was just out of control. And then you have a guy like Steve Valentine, who super vulnerable interview, but like this wizard when it comes to talking about how you put deals together, right, and how you make this like a great portfolio of real estate investment properties, right? Like, gosh, it's just it's a diverse conversations with some similarities and patterns in there as well.
I still remember that one liner that Steve had in there. It's not he was talking about his database, and he said, things really turned around for me when I realized that it wasn't my database, it was my community, actually. Like, and it's really cool to see everybody's takes on that. Like Bill Pipes, after he got done talking about neuro-linguistic programming and sales training and stuff, I actually went back, and that sent me on a deep dive into our sales AI model that we built to retrain it on all things NLP. And actually it's way better now, so I'm thankful for it. I'm getting a lot out of it. Should we like sort of introduce ourselves to everybody?
Well, I am, I guess, a recovering corporate America girly. I had a lot of success in corporate America before I decided to become a real estate agent. I've been licensed since 2017, full-time since the end of 2018. And I built my business pretty fast. So I went from 0 to top 1.5% in the country in under 2 years, which was pretty crazy. Obviously, the market had a lot to do with it, since it was cooperating in a really, really amazing way. I started a team and absolutely hated being a team leader, so I shut it down and instead started a small group coaching program called Legacy Agents. And so I am active still in helping people buy, sell, and invest in real estate. But my passion and my love is for creating community. And I'm doing that for women within the real estate industry with Legacy Agents. And then I normally forget to say this, but I'm a new author.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's Legacy Agent happens to be the name of the little book on the background next to the weird boob statue thing that you have back there. So for those that are just listening, you're going to have to get on YouTube to understand what I'm talking about. To know I'm not a crazy person.
But yeah, I had lifelong dreams of becoming an author. Full transparency, I thought I would write a smut romance novel, but instead I wrote a book on real estate. So here we are. And then I guess newly, I am now a podcast host, which I'm super excited about. The unintentional podcast host. I don't think this was ever on my roadmap, but the second it was brought up and in a way that could create community with you two and help add value to the industry that has brought me a ton of joy and pain, let's be honest. It's super exciting. So what did I miss? I feel like, I'm a wife. I have 2 dogs and a cat. What else am I missing?
Well, you live in Arizona. We all live in Arizona. So there's that thing that we all coincidentally just happen to live in Arizona. So that made things easy.
I think I'm stuck on the smut romance author.
I know. I didn't know that until just now.
I didn't know that either.
I'm a little offended and super intrigued. So
Yes.
Yeah, so I like everything trashy reality TV, like anything on Bravo. My current obsession right now is Love Island. I watch it every summer, and there are, I kid you not, 6 episodes a week. So just do the math on that time investment that I'm just burning up. It's honestly really embarrassing. But I also am like a huge reader. So I'm normally reading like 3 books at any given time, and one of them is guaranteed to be a very smutty novel. So yeah, that's where I get my kicks, y'all.
Wait, what does smut mean? I'm new to this. Like, what does that actually mean?
Is it?
I mean,
Is that the ones like where
like
Fabio's on the cover kind of style? Like, is that were
like
those?
50 Shades
Those are
of Grey is like kind of
okay.
like the original, I would say, like smut series, but there is a vast well of smutty novels that go into this. Yeah, I would say like I think like sexy, like I would think
like book porn.
there's
It's like book
yeah,
porn.
book porn.
Book porn
Yeah,
is
I
what
think
you
that's probably a good
read.
way to put it. So yeah, I guess I'm an avid book porn reader. Cool.
It's the original OnlyFans. There was those books. Yep.
Oh, I guess the only other thing you guys don't currently know. Are you guys ready for this?
I
I
don't
just
know.
changed
Take
brokerages.
notes here.
You're gonna change
You
brokerages?
just
Yeah,
changed?
I did.
Oh,
I
you did just
I
Where'd you
change.
joined.
go?
I thought you said
Oh yeah,
I thought
I
you were like,
just
I'm gonna
changed.
change. I'm like, you're saying that out loud on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Nope. It's official as of yesterday. I joined Epic Realty, so I'm pretty excited
Congrats.
about that. And I don't really know what I'm getting into, but I'm just excited about a change. I've been at the same brokerage, amazing local, hyper local brokerage for the last 5 years and learned a ton, but it was time for just a different change of scenery. But I forgot I hadn't shared that with you guys yet.
Nope.
Congrats. That's
Congrats.
awesome. Okay.
Big shift.
Surprise! Okay,
Very
enough
cool.
about me.
I think I
feel like
learned a little bit about you, but yeah, that was well
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. You killed it. Killed it. Now we all
all
have to
right,
follow that.
Rockstar. I think you're up,
Yeah, go
Rockstar. It's your turn.
It's my
yeah,
turn.
go ahead.
I don't know. I came from tech, biochem med school dropout, started a tech company, started another tech company, and then out of the blue, old friend of mine, John Gletch, called and said, "Hey, man, I know you're building that software for elementary schools. Ever think about starting a real estate team?" And I went, "Sure, sounds good." It was never on the horizon at all, but like his daughter is my goddaughter, and his father-in-law married my wife and I. So I said, "Cool, sounds good." So we started that, and it was just him and I in our hoodies and board shorts, high-fiving every time the phone rang, up to like operating in 3 states and selling lots and lots of houses every year. I mean, I sold, I had 500 some odd houses. If you look on MLS, we wrote them all underneath
You're still there.
John's name.
Oh, nice.
I got a couple co-list situations. So like nobody can actually validate unless you can get into the Gletch Group archives to see how many deals I did. But I did sell 11 houses in one weekend once. So that's my
Yeah, I've heard that story.
badge of honor.
That is pretty epic.
Yeah.
That is pretty
I
epic.
got sick for like 2 weeks afterwards, but like I did it. I got it done.
That'll do it
There's always
too.
a price to pay.
Yes. After that, got signed to a record label. That's a story for a different day. And we started Bar Agency, which is a fractional CTO agency, which sounds crazy fancy, but really all it was is I had some big team leader friends reach out and go, "Hey, is there anybody that does that thing when you were at the Gletch Group? Like that thing that you were doing?" And they couldn't even describe it. And I went, "Are you talking about building technology that helped us operate and continue to scale as a company?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's the thing." Because they didn't need COOs or operation. They had that on lock. And because I came from the tech world prior to real estate, I didn't know any better. So I just did what we did from tech. Is if tools didn't exist, I built them. And if integrations didn't exist, I built those, and you just shape the technology to your business. That was the brain space that I came from going into real estate. And I somehow lived under a rock for a long time thinking that everybody else did that. Just me in my little cave over there. And we started Bar Agency because that was not true. And we are now fractional CTO for Chief Technology Officer. We streamline and manage and build and innovate technology for a lot of the biggest names that exist in real estate, which is a lot of fun, and lots of tech companies we consult for. And I also run a company called Shiloh AI, which is a sales AI that we built for the real estate space that grades calls, gives really incredible coaching feedback. It's trained on millions and millions of hours of real estate calls. And I think the cool thing is, and scary thing is, how well it actually knows real estate and how specific the feedback can be from it. But I don't want people to hear that and go "Oh, AI is coming for my job, because it's like, it's not. Everybody thought CGI in the movie world was going to replace filmmakers, and it did not replace filmmakers. Actually, it just made filmmakers possible of doing things that were never possible before. And that's what's coming for real estate agents with AI. So I'm really excited to be a part of that. And I don't know. Outside of that,
Yeah.
if you follow me on Instagram, you'll literally recognize none of what I just said, because it's going to be pictures of me golfing, screwing around with my kids and my wife, and going on trips with them. Because I mean, let's be honest, that's the like real. That's the real reason why. If somebody was saying like, you share what you're passionate about, and yes, I'm passionate about building incredible technology for the real estate space, but ultimately, if push comes to shove, I'm not going to get up and like take a picture of that. I'm going to take a picture of my kid jumping off the back of the couch when I think he's going to die, and he landed on his feet. That happened yesterday. I had a 2-year-old that jumped off the back of the couch, and I went, oh God, right onto a tile floor. I thought like, this is totally going to be a hospital trip here.
Stitches.
And he just planted and just landed that thing in a squat.
Stuck it, huh?
So proud of him. So proud.
You must have been watching Olympic trials or something.
Yeah. The CrossFit Games haven't even started yet. So I don't know.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you missed on one of the most important factors of you, which is your hair. And I know the people listening can't see it, but you definitely have the best hair of the podcast host.
I would say so.
Well,
he has probably the most hair product of the podcast as well.
Actually, I only have, it's just this like foamy mousse stuff that I put in it, and then it just dries this way. I guarantee you, my wife is so pissed off about it because I spend no time doing my hair. It just kind of dries this way. And the way it started was when me and my wife got married, we were like on our honeymoon. She saw this like picture of like an older dad with like his kids and long flowing hair. And she's like, oh man, I can't wait. One day you're going to be like a sexy dad like that with the long hair. And I went, we don't have to wait for that day to show up. I'll just go ahead and stop cutting my hair right now. And that was the last time that I cut my hair short ever again.
Really?
So I've had long hair.
What year was that?
How long ago? Yeah.
10 years, going on 11 years. We've been married 11 years in October this year. We were babies when we got married.
I'm trying to picture you with short hair.
Yeah, people, that's the crazy thing is that like I've had long hair long enough to where there are people in my life that are close to me that don't even know what I look like with short hair anymore.
That's what I think we need like an AI short hair version, like some headshots of Justin with short hair. I've got to see it now.
My daughter, it was like, she was looking at videos on my wife's phone the other day and she goes, Dad, I got a almost 5-year-old and a 2-year-old at home. And the almost 5-year-old was like, Dad, listen, I was looking at videos on Mom's phone and your old hair, it was disgusting. She used the word disgusting. I was like, so you don't want me to cut my hair? She's like, no, you'll look really bad if you cut your hair again. I'm like, thank you. Sounds
Nothing
good.
can shame you more than a 5-year-old girl.
Oh yeah.
No.
She just goes right to the point there. So I don't know. Did I miss anything? Did I get it all?
I mean, I think it's so interesting what you do and how it plays into this really though, is that like, I don't know, most of us got into real estate because we were like, oh, let's sell some houses. And then we didn't realize like all the different hats that we have to wear. And one of them is like managing all of this technology, which I'm so grateful for. It makes our job so much easier. But like having all of it talk to each other and make sense of it. And you just have this amazing lens and ability to be able to see how you can simplify, tie things together, or create something altogether new. So I would say like, your superpowers, at least from my perspective, is definitely like you just have an eye for innovation and you're also like a super connector. You have a wild Rolodex, which is part of the reason why I wanted to co-host this podcast with you. But I mean, I think those are like, when I think of you, I think of like massive innovator and like ability to just like meet people and instantly build rapport and relationships with them. I think that's an incredible skill that you have.
Wow. Well, thanks. I mean,
I don't think of any of that.
No.
Yeah, I don't think of any of that. I think of the flowing locks, semi-good golfer.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Somebody that can throw down on some CrossFit Olympic lifts. Completely different. Although I will say for my team, some of the coolest tools that we have were built by the bar agency. We just recently did this forms one where essentially they submit a contract right through. There's like a follow a boss widget in there and they have to click a button and submit their new contract in there, and it just goes to everybody, and it goes into our Brokerman or wherever the hell. I don't even know what platforms we use.
What's a lockbox?
Justin knows. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And it just happens, right? It goes to title. It goes to, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And once Billy, my COO, starts explaining to me all the things that are in the back end of that, I go, oh, wow, that's way more complicated than I thought it was. I'm glad we got good people on this that understand that. But the agents love it. I love it. I don't know how any of it works. So that's pretty awesome.
It's just magic. That's all it is.
That's what I chalk it up to.
Yep.
That's what I chalk everything up to. What was it, Nate Bargatze, where he goes, like, if I went back in time, I'm not even sure I could prove that I was from the future because I don't know how anything works. Like, it's just, so my story is not as cool as either one of theirs, but I'm like this failed student / bartender that really didn't have a ton of options. So I was like, well, what do you do when you don't feel like graduating college anymore, and you can't bartend until you're 40? Well, you can, but I was like, well, shoot, I guess I'll get my real estate license, and that was in 2006. And so I think what we've done well is like find the waves of the market and try to get them at the beginning of the waves. And so while I was licensed originally in 2006, we went quickly into the default property portion of the business early 2007. And so we rode that wave for a little while, short sales, foreclosures, things along those lines. Then obviously picking up our traditional real estate side of the business, me and my wife in the business together, doing the traditional side after REO and short sales kind of fizzled out. And then we built that up like from 2013 till now. A team leader here in the Phoenix market, run a team of any day. It's like 200 to 220 to sometimes 250 agents. It just depends on how many people I've pissed off in that quarter, or how many we've actually gotten to success in the business. And so constantly fluctuating there, but like a great, amazing team. And I love it. I love every part of it. We just had our all company meeting today, and standing up there and just like sharing best practices and sharing like hearing everybody's story and the abundance of running a great, like good real estate team of like-minded people. You wouldn't think you could scale it to that degree. But we've been able to do it and still keep that like cool energy and cool vibe, I think. And I've got a lot of cool, great people around me doing it too. So from my CEO, Billy Hobbs, to Billy Hobbs, Justin McClellan, like just so many great people around us just working hard. And so I also run the like investment real estate side of our business as well. So constantly flipping properties, short or wholesaling, and buying investment rentals, commercial properties, apartment complexes, things along those lines. And so always got to have something going on that front, just because that's what initially drew me into the business, was the investment side of it, which taught a lot of our agents that have been with us for a decade how to do that as well too. And so it's been fun to watch their portfolios grow and us continue to grow ours. So it's been a fun ride. 18 years now in this business, and I can't think of anything else I would do. What's the
combined volume of? Do you know what your like combined volume of like since the Laughton team started? Yeah,
it's been over 10,000 transactions. We can't really. I don't know, but the last 4 or 5 years, every year we've averaged over $1 billion a year. And I don't know, 10, 12,000 transactions, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to throw that out there when George started with like, oh, I'm a failed whatever. I'm like, okay, Mr. Mega team leader over there. I do think like it doesn't happen on accident though. I've known you for such a long time, and I've known of you for such a long time, and your reputation, and specifically the Arizona real estate industry, has always been stellar. Nobody says a bad thing about George Laughton. There's some people in any industry that, they become successful and people talk about them and throw rocks at them and stuff like that, you know. But like, even as you've become more successful in even the smaller Arizona, not even just national, obviously we got lots of friends that are big team leaders, like your reputation in the industry has been incredible. And that only comes because I've seen you like cry about how much a agent's story of success actually meant to you and like how that got to you. And you're like, why behind doing that stuff is that's the reason why you guys are so successful. And that's why you have such a cool vibe, is because ultimately you just actually care about the people that are on your team. It's crazy how that works, huh? How simple that is, that you like, you don't view them as like dollar signs and like head count in the door to increase your bottom line, or even, well, shit, most of this team's just increasing top line and not bottom line that much. So I just like hats off to you to be able to do that over a span of time, because that's very, very hard to do. And on top of it, like, you have an incredible family and your wife and your kids, you got a great relationship. My rubric for success is basically just you at this point, because like people that can build a successful business that provides the lifestyle that them and their family desired, and they have really great relationships with their kids, and their kids get older and still want to hang out with them. I'm like, well, that's the rubric for success. I could like, I could be like a shitty dad and husband and build a giant business. That's actually pretty easy, you know? So
it's you know, it's good having a partner alongside you too. I mean, my wife has been with me since the very beginning of all of this, and then getting to raise two amazing boys in that. And it was cool, like today at the all company meeting, we were actually had somebody presenting on the market, and as she was going up there to transition computer, I'm like, hey, can you all do me a favor? Today is my 9-year-old's birthday. I'm like, can we just give him a shout out? Because he'll freaking love it. Like, he'll totally geek out on that. And so sure enough, we all did a little happy birthday for him. And then he sent a video right back thanking everybody. So it was just super cool. Like, it was fun. But that's the kind of meetings I love to run.
Dude, I love that. Well, should we like segue into the part where we talk about what people should expect? Because we got a format to this, which you came up with, George. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. Do you want to unpack that?
Yeah. I think the format we were looking at, and so it's a format I follow for a lot of my presentations in trying to unravel a story, right? And so we followed 3 segments, which is the heart, the head, and the hands. And the point of the heart, right, is really just to get down, like when I think of explaining the heart, and that's Lindsay's section, is to kind of talk about people's real story. Like, what was the gritty part? What was their life before successfulness? Like, what do they do, and how do they think, and how do they get here to this point? I think is the story is the heart, right?
Yeah, when I think of the heart, it's like getting underneath the people's, you know, background and story, their why, and really like what makes them them. I think, you know, we spend a lot of time in strategy and tactic land, but ultimately this industry is really freaking hard. It is not an easy place to navigate. And so understanding how people kind of came up with their idea. In fact, George, one of the things from your episode that I was going to share was like, it was one of my favorite episodes was interviewing George. And one of the things he said was he bought a commercial building, and he had this big commercial building. He was like, I don't know what to do with it. So I just decided to fill it up with agents. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know, like he didn't have this grand plan to have a 250 person team. Like he got a bigger container and decided to fill it. And, you know, like, I think that's really important for people to know is like, you know, he worked his way up to that. It wasn't like he set out day one to do that. He had to work through mindset shifts and growth blocks along the way, and, you know, really getting underneath how did he get himself to become the person who was able to achieve all of the cool things that we saw. So the heart is really just trying to get inside and underneath and, you know, talk about the feel. So, that's what I like to do.
I love it. And like from there, we'll transition from the heart into the head section, which is kind of like where I guess I lead that. Is that the head section is really about what they're doing right now. So that after we've unpacked the story of who they are and we have context for who they are, then we can get into like what they're doing, you know, because we really want to put context to what they're doing and how they even arrived at what they're doing in the first place, and start to uncover things from the recent past of things that have been successful for them, things that they're interested in, things that they're pursuing right now. One of my favorite questions is like, outside of work in your marriage and your kids, if they're married or whatever, like, what's the most important thing to you? And you get to find out like what people are actually focusing on. And that's a crazy different, like, you got John Glush that shows up and he goes, well, I actually have this like rubric to grade myself on how present I was with my wife every single day, because like that's his thing that he's focused on right now outside of business and outside of those things, which is a lot of fun to see. And then we take and package all of that and hand it over to George, and George is the hand section of it all.
Yeah, I think like head is the strategies, right? Like what are the strategies you guys are implementing? What is the strategy like this? But then you get to the tactical part, like the practical actions, the daily habits, the tangible efforts that make these high performers. And we always want our listeners to walk away with something executable. Like, what are you going to do that's different in your business? What are the patterns between, like, I'm trying to point out the patterns between guests, and then I can say like, hey, we heard this from Steve Valentine, we heard it from Gary Ashton, we heard it from John Glutch, we heard it from Chan, like we heard it from all these people. You should do it too, right? Like, hey, this is a pattern. Yeah. Let's take this as a tactic and let's move forward with it. And that's something I really try to teach with my team as well. And it's something, man, it's not hard to uncover. Like these people are doing similar things on a day-to-day basis, and it's really cool to kind of uncover that and give that to the audience.
I love it, dude. I'm excited about this.
Super stoked.
Well, I'm super excited to be here with you guys. If you've gotten this far, thanks so much for listening. And we're just excited to share all the value and wisdom that we're uncovering with all these guests. And I think it's going to be really epic.
Yeah. Thanks so much, you guys, for joining us on our first episode of the inspection period, our first official episode. And we hope that you guys come back and like join us for the ride. Each and every single week, we're going to have a bunch of really great guests from inside of the real estate industry that most people will know and some people won't know. And even outside, we got plans to bring in some really cool people from outside of the real estate industry as well to have valuable conversations and how it could apply to our lives.
Yeah, so be sure to like and subscribe and follow Estate Media on YouTube and all the social media outlets and podcast platforms for more on the inspection period. And there are a lot of other amazing podcasts from Estate Media as well, so make sure to go check them out.